Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is the boss for a little bit of an intro today. So before we get into the main point of this video today, which is the Kaiba Structure Deck Reloaded profile, I wanted to add this little message at the beginning of the video. As you guys know, if you watched a video that I did, I think 2 days ago, I remember I uploaded, it's for a Q&A. I mentioned that I was doing a Q&A video, so if you guys have any questions for that, that is still running. I am still taking questions, as many questions as you want to leave about pretty much anything in the world. If you guys want to see it answered on the show, leave it in the comment section of this video. Just wanted to leave this little message for you before the video started. So anyway, that's all for me. If you got any questions, leave them below. And enjoy the deck profile video, guys. I hope you enjoy and attain a little bit of knowledge from it about some more Yu-Gi-Oh cards that you could assemble in your own deck. Anyway, I digress. Peace out, guys. Enjoy the video. What's up, my dudes? It is the boss for yet another video. Today, guys, I am going to be going over some of my Yu-Gi-Oh deck profiles. Now, if you guys watched the previous video, you'll know that I'm starting to transition into other kinds of content. For right now, we'll be going into Yu-Gi-Oh based content, because it is my current craze or passion. Fun fact, by the way, before we get into the main part of this video, I am rewatching the Yu-Gi-Oh series, not GX, not 5Ds, the original Yu-Gi-Oh series. I am in the middle of Season 3, right after Virtual World, right at the start of the Battle City Finals, after they have the big Royale to determine who goes next. So, I might make some reviews on my impressions for the seasons and episodes and stuff. That I think that would be kind of like cool content to do. It's Yu-Gi-Oh related, something that I'd like to talk about, something I can talk about with you guys. So hopefully, you know, that's something you guys want to hear. So if you guys have any Yu-Gi-Oh subjects or videos you want me to make, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below, and I will take your comments into consideration. So, without any further ado, let's get into the video today. So, first off, guys, got this deck box here, by the way. I actually got this from the same game store that I mentioned in the last video in town near my house. I got this deck box for $5, so it's pretty good. That's the same place that I'm going to be getting a majority of my sleeves and some other, like, basic deck boxes and, you know, whatnot. So, anyway, a little backstory to this deck as well. This is what I call my Kaiba deck. Now, the reason I call it my Kaiba deck is I got this deck from Walmart for $10. It's actually a Kaiba base set. Now, not all the cards, but some of the cards are ones that Kaiba has used in the past in the anime. So, with my own flourish and mix, of course. So, we're going to be going through what I have assembled in this deck. Now, after we go through the cards, I'm going to tell you guys a bit of my deck strategy with this deck. So that way, maybe if you guys want to, you can copy this deck or you can assemble it. Because I actually played against a friend of mine earlier today who's also into Yu-Gi-Oh! From my college. And we played a lot of duels. Aside from a couple of them, this deck won me a vast majority of those duels. So it's actually a pretty useful deck. And I'm sure you guys a couple of other little cards, too, that I have gotten at the end of the video, which I'm going to be adding to this deck. Unfortunately, I don't have sleeves for these yet, because I currently don't have any more sleeves. All the sleeves that I had went to this deck. So, I have another deck that I'll do in another video, but again, no sleeves. So, anyway, let's stop dawdling. Let's get into the main part of this video. So, I'm going to be going through and listing off to you guys the different cards in this Kaiba deck, and then we'll go from there. So first things first, Shrink. It's a magic card that divides your opponent's monster or any monster in the field by half. Very useful card. We have the Shadow Spell Trap card. Very nice card. It not only stops your opponent's attack and they can't move, but it also decreases your opponent's attack points by 700. Or your opponent's monster, I should say. Next we have Trap Hole. Pretty good card. It's a nice reverse card to get the jump on your opponent. Takes out any monster 1,000 attack or above that your opponent summons. Well, actually, it's normal or flip summon. Special summons don't count, so don't think about using that. If you're going to use that, use Bottomless Trap Hole. If you want the special summon included. And that's 1,500 or more attack, so this card's a bit better in that regard, but I don't know, either way. Next we have Stamping Destruction. Works well with this deck, and I'll get into that later because this is a dragon-based deck for the most part. A majority of the monsters and cards in here are for dragon monsters. But basically, Stamping Destruction, if you control a dragon monster, you can destroy one spell or trap card on your opponent's side of the field and inflict a cool 500 points of damage. Very nice. This card I haven't really used that much, but this is Chaos Necromancer. This card can actually be useful if you're really down on your luck and you just happen to draw it and a lot of your monsters have been destroyed. This card's attack obviously is 0 and its defense is 0, but the attack of this card is actually determined by how many monsters are in your graveyard. So take the number of monsters in your graveyard and times it by 3. So if you have 7 monsters in your graveyard, times that by 3, that's 2100 attack points. So honestly, pretty useful card. Next we have Shield Crush. Actually, this is a pretty basic spell card. I actually had one of these before I even got this deck from like 2 years ago. It basically destroys a face-down defense position monster in your opponent's side of the field. It's pretty basic. Another classic from the original series, Mystical Space Typhoon. It destroys 1 magic or trap card on your opponent's side of the field. So, pretty nice. Actually, it destroys it on any side of the field, but I would assume you destroy your opponent's and not your own. Next we have, I don't know how the heck to pronounce this, Watali Dragon. This card is a 6-star monster, only requires 1 tribute to summon, and it has 2500 attack points, so that's actually pretty good. Next we have a classic card Kaiba used in the anime, Vorse Raider. Pretty nice monster, 1900 attack points, 1200 defense points. It's actually a really good, solid monster to play, especially for if you're going for like a Kaiba-based thing, so it's pretty nice. This card actually, in the last duel that I played today against my friend, this is one of the cards that kind of tripped him up at first. He ended up beating me in that last duel anyway, but this card caused him a little bit of grief. This is Tiger Dragon. Again, 6-star monster, only requires 1 monster to sacrifice to summon. With this card, actually, it has a special ability. When it's tribute summoned, you can destroy 2 face-down spell or trap cards on your opponent's side of the field. So, pretty nice. Next, we have another basic card, Mad Dog of Darkness, 1900 attack points. You know, what's the defense points? 1400 defense points. So, not bad, not bad. It's actually another solid monster like Vorse Raider. Here's another classic one from the anime. Kaiser Seahorse, 1700 attack and 1650 defense points. Pretty good, pretty solid monster. Cool thing about this one is it has a special ability where it can serve as not 1, but 2 tribute monsters for a level 8 or above monster. So, I'm just going to say this. The Blue Eyes White Dragon, there's 2 of them in this deck. This card, if you have it on the field, you can sacrifice it to summon the Blue Eyes instead of sacrificing 2 monsters. So that's why it's very useful to have this monster in your deck. So I would recommend having that if you're going for this kind of deck. Next we have Rush Recklessly. It grants one of your monsters 700 attack points until the end phase of your turn. Actually a pretty good card, I have to say. It's actually better when your opponent attacks your monster and you activate it. They're pretty much screwed, so hey. Next we have a spell card, Offerings to the Doom. Pretty good card. You can destroy 1 face-up monster on the field at the cost of drawing a card on your next turn. By the way, I hope this doesn't sound Greek to any of you guys watching this, but I'm assuming that if you're watching this, you're at least aware of how Yu-Gi-Oh works, so just throwing that out there. Next we have another solid monster, Vanguard of the Dragon. Pretty nice card, pretty nice card. This one is 1700 attack and 1300 defense. Now, the other abilities I'm not going to really go into, but the useful one for this is if you have another, like, weaker dragon monster in your hand, you can send 1 dragon monster to the graveyard to give it 300 attacks. So, 2,000 if you normal summon it and you discard another dragon. Pretty good. Here we go, we have another normal, solid monster, Opticlops. It's a pretty good card, pretty good. 1,800 attack, 1,700 defense, so overall, pretty solid monster. Oh, next we have Twin-Headed Behemoth, 1,500 attack and 1,200 defense. The convenient thing about this card is if it's destroyed in battle with its ability, you can bring it back from the graveyard in, is it defense mode? No, it could be any mode, I guess. Of course, it's instead of 1,500 attack and 1,200 defense, it comes back with 1,000 attack and 1,000 defense if you activate that ability. Also, you can only use it once per duel, so it's not like if it gets destroyed, you can repeatedly bring it back. That's not how it works. Next, again, another solid monster, Luster Dragon, 1,900 attack points and 1,600 defense points. Again, another solid monster, kind of like Vorse Raider. Next we have, I do not remember this one, believe it or not, Divine Dragon, Divine Dragon, Polycroth. How many attack points does this thing have? Oh, 1,000 attack, 1,500 defense. Apparently the useful thing with this monster is you can discard to the graveyard and you can add a dragon monster from your graveyard to your hand, so could be pretty useful. Again, Threatening Roar, pretty good trap card. If you activate this, your opponent cannot conduct their battle phase during their turn, so pretty nice. Again, here's one of the blue eyes. There's actually 2 blue eyes in here, but when you see the other one, it is actually better, because the blue eyes that's in this deck is actually one of the, I don't know if it's rare, ultra rare, but it's a rare card, and you'll see the reason for that whenever we get to it. This card actually saved my booty on one occasion. When I was going against my friend, he had a spellcaster deck. This is Puppet Plant. It's a pretty weak monster, though. 1,000 attack, 1,000 defense. However, if you're going against a warrior or a spellcaster monster, if you discard this card from your hand, you can take control of it for 1 turn. That was very useful against my friend because he had a really powerful Dark Magician card. So, very useful. Next up, we have the spell card Silent Doom. This card brings back a monster from your graveyard in defense mode, or face-up defense mode. Unfortunately for that monster, it cannot attack, so if you're going to bring it back, I would assume that it's either for a last-minute defense or a tribute summon. Okay, next one up, this card is useful if you have a Blue Eyes in your deck. It's basically Burst Stream of Destruction. It's basically a spell card where if you control a Blue Eyes, you can destroy all monsters on your opponent's side of the field, so pretty solid. Oh, I like this one. Widespread Ruin. This card's basically, if your opponent's monster attacks you, this is basically trap card triggers, and it destroys your opponent's monster if it tries to attack you. Another reverse trap, basically. Here's another one. If you guys don't know, Pot of Greed is actually another classic spell card from the original series. If you know, it's basically one of those deals like, oh, you activate it, draw 2 cards. Shard of Greed is actually the little downgraded version of it. It's a continuous spell. If you leave it on the field, you have to wait two draw phases to get 2 tokens, I guess, put on it. Are they called tokens? What do you call them? Counters. Okay, 2 counters on the card, but you can draw 2 cards after that. But you have to send it to the graveyard after you draw the 2 cards. We've been over this one. Another Kaiser Seahorse. Again, pretty useful to have this in your deck, so that's why I got 2. Next one we got is Horus the Black Flame Dragon, level 6. This monster is actually pretty useful. It can't be affected by spell cards. Of course, I would recommend, if you're going to have this card, have Horus the Black Flame Dragon level 4 in your deck, because with that monster, you can instantly summon it to the field after it destroys your opponent's monster. And for frick's sake, the cards fell. Dang it. Next week's first, we have another solid classic monster, X-Head Cannon, 1,800 attack, 1,500 defense. Again, pretty nice, pretty solid card. Again, another solid card. When I say solid, I mean it's like a regular monster. Like, that's all it is. But we have Legion, Mystical Genie of the Lamp, 1,800 attack, 1,500 defense. Again, another pretty good monster. Next we have a specialty spell card known as Dark Hole. This hole is pretty dark because it can destroy all monsters on the field, so it's a pretty useful spell card. Next things first, we have a classic one that I've used plenty of times. We have the spell card known as Enemy Controller. This spell card can basically do one of 2 things. It can either change the battle position of one of your opponent's monsters, or you contribute a monster on your side of the field to control one of your opponent's monsters for 1 turn. Personally, I always end up using the first one more than the second one, so I don't know. Next we have Aqua Matador, which has... Okay, what is the attack? Seriously... Okay, 12. Yeah, because there's this little thing at the bottom of the card right here, this little shiny bit. It blocks out the attack on some of my monsters, and I can't see it. But 1,200 attack, 2,000 defense. Now, the reason I have this card in this deck is because there's a little trick. Since the defense is so high, if your opponent's monster's attack is less, and it attacks this defense position monster, the difference comes out of their life points. So, very useful. Next up, we have Alexandrite Dragon. It's a 4-star monster, pretty useful. It's 2,000 attack and 100 defense. Defense is pretty bad, but the attack points make it worth it because you can just instantly summon a monster with 2,000 attack instead of tributing for it. So, pretty good, pretty good. Next, this card is actually pretty useful if you want to summon, like, in this case, a Blue Eyes White Dragon. This spell card is known as Dragonic Tactics. You contribute 2 defense, two dragon-type monsters on your field and special summon a level 8 dragon from your deck. So very useful for Blue Eyes. Next we have one of my personal favorite trap cards in this deck, Sarasketu Armor. It's basically another one of those cards where if your opponent's monster attacks you, you can destroy it if you activate this card. So pretty basic. Next we have Des Mosquito with 500 attack and 500 defense. It's a pretty weak card, but the difference with this card is it has the ability to add 2 counters to it, which gives it 500 attack points each, and if the card is attacked, you can take one of the counters off to prevent it from being destroyed. So that basically your opponent would have to hit it 3 times in order to destroy it. Pretty useful. Next we have another favorite spell card of mine, Tribute to the Doomed. Pretty standard spell card. You discard 1 card from your hand and destroy one of your opponent's monsters. But you guys are noticing a theme with this kind of deck. Here is the almighty other Blue Eyes White Dragon. Now, if you guys can't tell if it's reflecting off the screen, this is the reason that this is such a rare card is because it is a holographic Blue Eyes White Dragon. So, I like this one, I like the look of it, and I love the holograph on this card. It looks really, really nice. So anyway, there's the other Blue Eyes. Next up, we have, Yomi Ship. I remember this one. Basically, this card has 800 attack and 1400 defense. Basically, the useful thing about this is, if you put it, I would recommend putting this card in defense mode, because whenever your opponent destroys this monster, it basically sends the monster that destroyed it to the graveyard. So, it's like a you kill me, I kill you type thing. You know what I mean? It's useful, though. Here's the monster that I mentioned earlier, Horus the Black Flame Dragon, level 4, 1600 attack, 1000 defense. His big claim to fame is if he destroys your opponent's monster, you can upgrade him to Horus the Black Flame Dragon, level 6, the monster that I showed you guys earlier in the video. So, again, useful to have both of them in there. Oh, here's another classic one known as Soul Exchange. This particular spell card allows you to use one of your opponent's monsters as a tribute. Basically, you can take control of it, and you can use it for a tribute summon to, summon a higher level monster. Of course, with all cards like this, there is a cost, because according to this, you cannot conduct your battle phase when you activate this card. So you can get the high monster, but you cannot attack immediately. So there's kind of a price with that. Next we have the monster known as Des Feral Imp, another card I know Kaiba used in Battle City, 1600 attack, 1800 defense. This is a flip effect monster. If it's face down on the field and it gets flipped over, you can take 1 monster out of your graveyard and add it to your deck. So, pretty useful if you want to get a card back. Here's another interesting card. I haven't used this one yet. I only used it in defense position in 1 duel, but I haven't used it yet. This is Cybernetic Cyclopean. I swear that's Cyclopean. This particular monster's effect is when you have no monster cards in your hand, it gains 1,000 attack points. So it's a pretty good trade-off. If that's the last card that you draw and you're like, oh, 2,400. Oh, heck yeah. Go with that. The next monster, we have another one of those solid monsters, or regular monsters. Battle Ox. 700 attack, 1,000 defense. Pretty good, pretty good. I mean, honestly, it's not a bad card. It's kind of like Vorse Raider. I know I compared it to Vorse Raider, but it's the first one that we pulled that was regular. Anyway, for the next card we have is a trap card known as Damage Gate. Basically, with this card, if you, say that you're attacked directly by an opponent that has, your monster's attack is 2,000 attack, right? Well, with Damage Gate, you can special summon a monster. Is it from your deck? One monster. No, you can bring a monster back from your graveyard with equal or less attack from the damage that you took from your opponent. So basically, it's kind of like a trade-off. You get attacked, but you can bring back a monster with equal or less attack points from your graveyard. Pretty good. Next, we have the trap card known as Birthright. This trap card, when you activate it, can bring back 1 normal monster from your graveyard, and you can summon it in attack position on your field. Of course, if this card gets destroyed, that monster is gone. Also, this trap card does not work with all monsters. It works with only regular monsters. By regular monsters, I mean Battle Ox. See the description there? It's a standard monster bio. It's basically you can't do it with a monster that has special abilities. It has to be a regular monster. So, kind of sucks, but it's useful. The next one we have here is, oh my gosh, this one's a doozy. I'm gonna have a word with Konami one day about why they named this dragon, this particular monster, this particular name. This is a mouthful. Interplanetary purpley thorny dragon. That name is absolute crap. See, guys, I'm not kidding. That is the full name of it right there. That is a terrible name, but it's 2200 attack and 1100 defense, and thank goodness that the name isn't the only thing that sucks on this card, because the rest of it's good. I don't know why I said that. The name sucks, the effect's good. Because when one of your monsters is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you have the ability to special summon it from your hand. So, very nice, very nice. We're down to the last two cards on the main deck for right now. Again, we have a regular monster, the Dragon Dwelling the Cave, 1300 attack, 2000 defense. This monster I would not recommend using in attack mode if, if you can help it, because it is a really, it's a weaker monster. However, the defense, like I mentioned earlier, with like the defense tricking your opponent to attacking a high defense monster so you can inflict battle damage, that's what I would use that card for. Oh, geez, I almost dropped it. Wow. And the final card, last but not least, we have the classic Blade Knight, which I actually just watched a Yu-Gi-Oh episode earlier where Kaiba ended up using Blade Knight. 1600 attack, 1000 defense. The thing with this card is you can negate flip effects of monsters destroyed by battle with this card, and if you have one or less cards in your hand, this card gets 400 attack points. So those are the ones in the main deck, guys. In the main... Oh, jeez. I am so sorry. Jeez. I don't know what is going on with my camera. Holy crap. Either way, like I was saying, this is the main Kaiba deck that I use. Hopefully you guys can make some use out of the cards that I showed you here today. The trick with this deck is there's a lot of high-level monsters in here. A lot of them are dragon-based, and a lot of the spell and trap cards, well, some of them, not a lot, are based around summoning them like quickly, especially like the high-level dragon monsters like Blue Eyes White Dragon. So I'd recommend having a mix of spell and trap cards in here that are useful for summoning it, if that's the kind of deck you're going for, along with a lot of the high-level monsters that are in here, like the high-level defense monsters, as well as the high-level attack ones like Legend, the Mystical Genie, and Vorse Raider. Also, the spell and trap cards is very useful. The majority of the ones in here are designed to destroy your opponent's monsters, weaken them, block attacks, that kind of thing. Basically, cripple your opponent's monsters while getting out higher-level monsters to decimate them. It's basically like the deck Kaiba had. Not exact, but it's like the same style of deck that Kaiba had. Kaiba had a more offensive deck. This deck's pretty offensive, but it also has a bit of defense with some of the spell and trap cards in here, so that's pretty good. So it's a good combination, it's a good mix. I think it balances each other out. So either way, that's my stance on this Kaiba deck. I hope you guys got some use out of this Toroidal and maybe get some ideas on how to build your own kind of deck. Before I end this deck Toroidal video today, I want to show you guys 3 other cards that I showed at the beginning of the video that I'm going to be adding into the deck when the time comes. The first one, I actually got 2 of them earlier today for free at a game store that I was at, so very nice. I gotta thank a friend of mine for introducing me to that. The first card here is a card destruction spell card. Pretty standard. You discard all the cards in your hand and you draw the same amount of cards that you discarded to the graveyard. Pretty useful if you have a really crappy hand. These 2 cards are, this one I got in a tin from last video. This is one of the cards that I got from the game shop. These 2 cards are very useful for a Kaiba-based deck. First off, we have Lord of Dragons here, 1200 attack and, 1100 defense. Besides the fact of remaining here on the field, as long as it remains face up on the field, dragon monsters can't be destroyed or attacked with spell cards, trap cards, and monster effects. But that's not the only use that Lord of D has. Enter Flute of Summoning Dragon. Now, this spell card can only be used on Lord of Dragon, but the useful thing about this card is you can special summon 2 dragon monsters from your hand when you activate this. So, they go in combination with each other, and you can special summon 2 dragon-type monsters. So, if, like, say you activate this card, attach it to Lord of D, and use it, and you have 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons in your hand, boom, instant summoning. That's why this card is so useful for, like, this dragon deck in particular. So it's a really, really good combination, and I'm really looking forward to adding these to the deck. It's going to be very useful in utilizing for a couple different strategies. Gonna wait till I get sleeves for them, though, because they're sleeveless. The funny thing was, I didn't actually come up with the strategy for it yet until I found Lord of D in the tin while I was making the other deck, which I'll go over in another video later on. But, yeah, the funny thing was, I was actually going to the game store with one of my friends from school. Lo and behold, Card Destruction is a really cool card. I really like it, but it wasn't like what I was looking for. I was looking through a pile of cards and the counter in there. Lo and behold, the Fluid Summoning Dragon was like the third or fourth card that I pulled out of there. And at this store in particular, they sell individual cards instead of just packs, so I have no idea. I didn't have like much spending cash on me at the time, so I was not sure how much these cards were going to be. However, the guy, being the nice dude that he was, he actually gave both of these cards here to me for free because they were really beat up. He was only going to sell them for like 10 cents, he said, so he just gave them to me. So it was pretty nice, and it was a pretty good day, and it really helped with my strategy. Now the only card that I need to make this ultimate deck complete is a polymerization, so I can get Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon onto the field. But that's another story. Either way, holy crap, I can't believe this video is going on for this long. Well, no one said deck teraidals were a short fix, so... Anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy today's deck profile. This has been the deck profile and strategy guide for the Kaiba deck. I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. If you did enjoy, give it a like. Let me know what you guys thought of this in the comments, and let me know any other ideas and thoughts you guys have. What kind of decks do you guys end up using? What kind of strategies do you guys use? What kind of card combinations would you recommend me to use for future decks? Because I'm building, dual monster decks as we speak. So, if you guys have any ideas or suggestions, or cards that you use, or like rare cards that you guys, think that are really good, let me know all this Yu-Gi-Oh stuff in the comments if you guys want to, or just leave whatever you want. Either way, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Oh, don't forget to subscribe, by the way, so you can get notified of the next video. I gotta mention that. Anyway, now that's all done. Thank you guys for watching today's video. I really appreciate it, and until next time, I'll catch you